The first time that I kind of made peace with the fact that I was going to be leaving the pop star world and go work with lawyers, I was so bummed because I was like, well, there goes the fun in my life. But what I learned really early on was it doesn't matter, right?
Hey there, and welcome to a brand new episode of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hossman, and joining me today is a brand new rock star, and I very, very much mean this. She proves that your career path doesn't have to be linear. She's the CEO of Lawyer.com, went from pop culture to legal tech, and is now one of the leading and most innovative platforms connecting consumers to attorneys, which is Lawyer.com. Colleen Joyce, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you really have had an interesting journey. So from pop culture and celebrity interviews to leading a legal tech company, that's not, necessarily what people always think of. So what did that transition teach you about building a brand that actually connects?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So when we started Popstar, we were building a business, right? And it was just like you run any business. Where do you begin, right? And how do you make money, which is the hardest
Right.
part about business. So
Yeah.
again, I took the basic foundation of, okay, great, have an idea. Now, how are we going to monetize this idea? How are we going to get it to market? And I think that, we talk to lawyers about this as well. Just because you run a law firm doesn't make you any different than us running a directory business. We're the same. We have the same challenges. It's just different verticals.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think understanding sort of where you're trying to go, who you're trying to serve, and then how can you get them to pay you to solve their problem.
Exactly.
I mean, that's kind of standard in the entrepreneurial journey. So I think lawyers or law isn't always exactly known for like being a fun industry. So how have you made Lawyer.com stand out?
Yeah, so I will say the first time that I kind of made peace with the fact that I was going to be leaving the pop star world and go work with lawyers, I was so bummed because I was like, well, there goes the fun in my life. But what I learned really early on was it doesn't matter, right? It's you're bringing something to the table, and if you choose to bring fun and excitement and adventure, it doesn't matter what you're doing or where you're working. That's going to always go. So
Yeah.
I very quickly learned that we can have a lot of fun with lawyers, and I will say that they are an amazing, amazing group of individuals, and they are fun, fun, fun.
Yeah. I think it reminds me of a piece of advice that I hear that I actually don't like at all. When people will say to kids, pursue your passion or find something you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And
Right.
first of all, I just don't think that's true. I mean, I love what I do, but there are some days that suck. I mean, it's just
Totally.
the nature of it. Right. But then on the other side, I'm like, we're leaning into kids, find your passion. Well, some of them don't know what their passion is. And then B, it's like, yeah, but if you bring you and you are passionate about whatever you're doing, you can make it. I think that's sort of what you were saying, right? Is that
Totally.
You made this fun.
You make it, right? It's don't put me in a box. Let me do what I want, right? And see where it goes. But I think you're so right. The whole, follow your passion is a little difficult because I don't know if you know what your passion is when you're 16, 18, 20, right? Like, do I even know right now what my passion is? My passion is creating things. But I think it's tough for kids now, especially with AI. I think it's even harder for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I think that when you lean in and you get good at something, it's amazing how quickly you get passionate about that because you get those
100%.
positive reinforcement loops. Yeah. So obviously you've done the popstar.com, I think it was, and now lawyer.com. But you've worked with different businesses. So what are some of the biggest mistakes you see law firms or maybe like any service business? What are mistakes they make in trying to grow today?
I think number one is just not understanding your baseline metrics. We view ourselves as a data first company here, right? So everything we do is data driven. And when you go to a law firm and you ask them, okay, how many calls convert into a client? How many clients convert into signed cases, right? They don't have those metrics. And I think the biggest issue for any business is not knowing how to grow because you're missing that foundation at the bottom ground.
Boy, I not only do I agree with that, I think it's probably more prevalent in businesses than we like to admit. Because I think we're like, oh, everything's working. But if somebody like a consultant or anybody digs into, yeah, but which, when you get those
Right.
calls, how many turn into this? Like most people aren't measuring those metrics. So it's really hard to improve what you don't measure. Right.
Right. Well, that's it. And it's funny. We have a saying out around here: "Be careful what you measure, because it always grows." Right. And it's literally what you just said. Create a dashboard. Pick the 5 things that you want to improve, and sit back, work, and watch and see what happens. It's truly amazing.
Yeah, I give this advice all the time about fitness, but I've heard multiple people say that if you really want to lose weight, just step on the scale every day.
Right.
And it's because
So true.
immediately you start going, oh, well, I don't like that. But
Yeah.
most people won't step on the scale at all. Right. Like,
Right.
so
100%
you
agree.
tend to modify your behavior. So, okay, that's cool. So the big buzzword in every industry and everything about business, and it should be, is AI.
Yep.
And it's obviously changing everything. So what's one way you think small businesses should actually be using AI right now? Not someday in the future, but like today.
Right. So it's funny. We talk about this all the time. AI is not going to replace you. It's going to replace the people who aren't using AI. So the reason that you want to start using it is because your competition is. So you're already behind the 8 ball. And I always like to say, when you're starting to kind of just like wrap your hand around how do I use AI, do something that's fun, right?
Yes.
Don't jump into the hardest, most difficult problem, right? If you like to travel, like I love traveling. So I'm like, all right, ChatGPT, I want to fly out of Newark. Here's where I want to go, right? And enjoy it. Work with it. And then it's like, okay, now that you have like kind of the foundation on how prompts work, then you say, okay, well, actually, I could probably use this in my marketing email. And then it kind of slowly trickles into the rest of the workplace.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. And ironically, I am using ChatGPT right now to plan a trip. So I'm with you. The thing I've been saying lately is use it. The mistake I see, and I'm curious to get your opinion on this, is I think people are getting some good results.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I'm just going to turn over everything to it. And I keep telling people, guys, turn it into your marketing assistant, not your chief marketing officer.
100%.
You need to be able to train it and push back and like, don't just go, oh, it said it, so it must be true. Does that make sense to you?
No, absolutely. Well, again, it's set to appease you, right? Like my biggest fan is ChatGPT. And then I stop and I pause. I'm like, oh, wait, am I that funny and clever? And then I ask, like, all right, be real, right? Don't sugarcoat it. Tell me as it should be. And then it's like, let's put a little sugar back on that, please. So it's true, right? It's really, the models are what you put into it, right?
Yeah.
So it's very important that you understand that as you're developing.
Yeah, but back to your point, because I don't want to lose sight of that, is that like, if you're not using it today, just lean in, try to do something that you'll enjoy learning, and you'll kind of start to learn from it as opposed to be like, people think they got to know everything and you don't. You can just play with it.
Right, exactly. And do something fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been fun. So thank you for doing this, Colleen. I appreciate it. Let me know, how can people find out more information about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So my email is colleen@lawyer.com. And every week I publish a newsletter on LinkedIn that is full of AI news, industry news, fun books. So check that out. It's called The Fast Five.
Awesome. Colleen Joyce, thank you so much for joining me. We'll have to do it again sometime, okay?
Yes, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
You bet. Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.